This video is an overview of the Unit 2 article selection and comparing author perspectives brainstorming assignment. This assignment is going to help you brainstorm in order to prepare for the Unit 2 informational research essay. So there are two parts to this particular worksheet, which we'll take a look at. But the first part is where you are going to tell me what the articles are that you selected to use for Unit 2. And keep in mind, these must be two new articles, okay? For part 2, you'll be comparing each author's perspective on the issue at hand. Okay, so this is going to help you to develop your synthesis questions that are then going to lead you into writing your essay. So in this comparison, you're going to be exploring the questions that the authors are answering and what their arguments are. And when you think about the articles you're going to select for this assignment, the author's positions could be in agreement, they could be in opposition, or they could be a little bit of both. Now, keep in mind, we're still working on our same topic that we selected at the beginning of the semester. And remember, we need to look at supporting reasons for different positions, but then we also need to take a look at the other side as well. So you have a bit of leeway in terms of the types of articles that you can find for this particular assignment. So for your article selection, you're going to want to use SIRS or EBSCOhost, or you can even Google and find articles. But they need to be two new articles on your topic. Okay, so when you are looking for articles, the biggest thing I can tell you is just make sure the authors are taking a stance on the issue. The authors are arguing a position. A strictly informative article is not going to work for this assignment. They must be arguments. Okay, so they must be stating a position. They must be taking a stand. Okay, so make sure you're looking for that type of argumentative language. But like I said previously, the articles could be mostly in agreement, they could be in complete opposition, or there could be a little bit of agreement on some points and disagreement on other points. So some things to keep in mind as you look for your articles. Make sure it has a clearly named author. The article shouldn't be too long, 2 to 4 pages, maybe 5. It should be a news article or a magazine article. You don't want it to be overly long though. So we're not looking for long form journalism here. We're looking for shorter arguments. And again, it should convey some sort of opinion or some sort of stance on the issue. The author should be arguing. Now, a couple of do nots for this assignment, meaning I will return this to you and tell you, hey, this article won't work. You need to redo the assignment. First of all, your article should not be less than a page. It should not be an excerpt or a book chapter. It should not strictly be informative or neutral with no clear argument or no clear position. If you go to SIRS, you should not be using an article from the University Wire or any other college newspaper. These need to be from professional publications, and generally the article should not be older than 5 years old unless we have discussed that. So once you find your articles, you're going to give me that information, and then you're going to move on to the second part of the assignment. So with that in mind, let's take a look at the assignment sheet. So here for part 1, you're going to give me the title of the article, the name of the original source, not the database, but the name of the original source, and then a link to that article. I want the authors and I want the dates. Okay, so that way I can quickly find the article. And then you're going to go down into your comparison. So we'll come back to this part after I go over the assignment. So you're going to need to read these articles a few times. Okay, and then you're going to pull up the worksheet and you're going to kind of do what it says. And this is going to be 35 points. Okay, and you're going to complete the worksheet that's linked up here to this assignment folder. So what it is that you're going to do. This is basically a comparison grid, and this is a brainstorming strategy to help you identify the various points within an article. So you're going to have 3 columns that you're going to fill in. On the left column, you're going to come up with questions or points that are being addressed in both articles, okay? You really should phrase those points as questions that you are then going to answer. And then in the next two columns, this is where you're going to record your notes. You might have some direct quotes, you should have some paraphrasing, and you should be citing things so that way when you need to go back and get it for the planner and the essay itself, it's a lot easier to find it. So this is from a sample article about binge watching. So our first source is in defense of binge watching. Okay, so they're defending it. And then the second source is problems caused by binge watching. So clearly these two sources are on different sides of the issue. So as you're reading your articles, you need to kind of keep a mental note or physically write it down. What are some of the questions that are being answered by both articles? So for example, the first question that both articles answer is, what is binge watching? And we get the explanation from the Cohen article, and then we get the explanation from the Dodson article. Now you'll notice that there are not full-blown APA citations here. We have the author's name, but there's no year. This one doesn't even give us the author of the year. It just talks about a study that's cited. But you will notice that the person did include the paragraph numbers. And that way, this person can go back and quickly find that information. For the purposes of this assignment, if everything is quoted, that is okay. But if you want to get a jump start on your next assignment, go ahead and do some paraphrasing here instead of just quoting. So once you've answered your first question, then you're going to come up with your second question. What is basically each article saying about binge watching? What is the opinion being presented? What argument on binge watching is being presented? So again, what Article 1 mentions, and then what Article 2 mentions, okay? Then the third question, why do people binge watch? Okay, asking the why question. So you'll notice there's quite a few pieces of information from the first article because that question is addressed in multiple places. And that's really the point of this type of assignment. When you're brainstorming, you don't know yet exactly what information you're going to end up using when you plan your essay and write your paper, okay? So you want to be able to use this brainstorming activity as a way to do some note-taking once you've read and annotated the article. So these particular articles had 3 questions that they both answered. Now you'll notice where it says your turn, there's room for up to 4 questions, okay? So at a minimum, I should see at least 3 questions. 2 is not enough. You'll need at least 3. Okay, and the reason for that is because after you take your notes, you're going to need to come up with 2 possible synthesis questions that tie the 2 articles together. So the questions here are more like the detailed questions. What's going on in the article? These are more like the big idea questions, okay? So what are the questions? What are the big ideas being explored in these 2 articles? So these questions are going to be broader. They're going to be a little bit larger. They're kind of like the umbrella, if you will, okay? So some of the questions that get to the content that each article addresses, and then your overarching questions that tie these 2 articles together, okay? So that's going to be the synthesis element. And you'll notice where it says, where am I? Oh, part 3, 2 possible synthesis questions. And the reason that I would like 2 is ultimately you're going to have to pick one. And I find that most students benefit from writing 2 questions, and then that way I can give you some feedback, whether one question stands out or maybe even combining the 2 questions together in some way. But this overarching synthesis question is really going to be the foundation of the paper, along with some of the brainstorming details that you came up with from this particular assignment. So let me know if you have any questions, and I look forward to reading your Unit 2 article selection and comparing author perspectives assignments. Thank you.